Hey, what's up guys? So today I thought I'd do a little bit of a different video. I thought I'd talk about Heart of the Swarm, the new features that have been added to the game, as well as BattleNet, and a couple other things such as units and some of the new abilities that have been added to other units, and just some of the unit changes overall so far that we'll talk about. Of course, all this stuff could change, and it probably is going to change in the next 3 months until the game comes out, which I believe is on March 13th. But anyway, I thought I'd make this video now because if you like to buy the game and you're looking into buying the game, this might help you decide if you want to do that. And also, if you pre-purchase it right now, you will be getting let into the beta that I'm in right now, and you'll be able to test out all the new units and that sort of thing. I think when you pre-purchase it, you get let in by waves of people on a weekly basis. So that's pretty much how that works. So the first thing I want to talk about is some of the new social changes they have made. The first one I want to talk about is the global play. Now this is a pretty big feature if you ask me. So basically what that means is now you can play on any server you want without having to buy the game of a different language or whatever. You can just go ahead, hop on the European server, play with your European friends, or maybe if you think you're just too pro for the North American server and you want a better challenge, you can go get your ass handed to you on the Korean server. So I think that's pretty cool. Global play. I'm surprised they didn't add it earlier, but hey, good feature. I like it. The next thing I want to talk about is groups. So down here we can look at this. Groups is basically a feature where a bunch of people can get together, talk about strategies, that sort of thing. We can go ahead and say I want to join Husky's group, so I can go ahead and open the chat tab in here. You can see you got all the people in here talking about that, so that's pretty cool. You got groups, you got the news of the group, you got the info of the group, and you got the members. Right now Husky's the only member, but that's still pretty cool. That's basically it for groups. I think they're going to be a good feature and make the game a lot more social as well. So the next feature they have, which is similar to groups, is they have a clan. So basically you can make a clan, you can have a name for your clan, and then you can have a tag. So I think clans are going to be really good at a higher level, pros getting together and having their clans. Another thing that's going to be good for is if you have a group of friends when you're all around a similar skill level, you can all be in a clan together and you can all play together at whatever time you want. You guys can be chatting in group, be like anyone want to do some 2v2s, and if you got a lot of people in there that are the same skill level as you, you can go ahead and queue up with them. The one thing about clans, is the maximum players that are allowed in a clan is about 50, and the maximum players that are allowed in a group is almost infinite, so a little bit different there. One other thing is the chat has been improved, so you got a new chat window here. You can actually size it up to whatever size you want. It's pretty cool. I really like the chat window. I think it looks a lot better. And one more social aspect we got here is we got the news, and you can open this up and take a look at all the new news items, what's going on. As you can see here, they are talking about global play, so that's pretty awesome in there. The next thing I want to talk about is a brand new thing to StarCraft 2, and it's the leveling system. Now you can see that I am level 11 with Protoss. I have 10,000 out of 160,000 for my next level. So basically how you get experiences, or how you get experience, sorry, is when you kill units, you get experience. When you finish upgrades or build units, you also get experience. And then I think you get bonus experience if you get a win or a loss dependent upon that. And also another thing I noticed is you get a bonus 25% experience for playing with a friend. So I noticed that when we were doing our 2v2s. Now what do you get from gaining levels? So basically if we go ahead and look our rewards here, you can see we get some portraits that we unlock. Unfortunately you can't really see them, they're all looking the same right now, but you get portraits you unlock as well as decals. So these decals, they go around your main base when you start out. So as you can see, I got a few different decals here I can use, which will actually go around my base at the start of the game. So those are pretty cool, I really like those. Why they added the leveling system instead of the way that they unlocked portraits and that before. So basically you would unlock unlock portraits by number of wins you have. And what people would do is they go ahead and join like a 4-player game, leave right away, and then there'd be a chance of them winning that game. And they do that several times, or maybe just bought it, and basically they could just get a bunch of wins here and there, and it was basically the quickest way to gain up those wins to unlock your portraits and that kind of stuff. So the leveling system really combats that. If you join a game and just leave right away, you gain absolutely no experience. So it's really cool in that way. The next thing I want to talk about, I'll go to my profile here. And so we got the ladder, and we got a couple new things in here. You can see we can go ahead and look at my career summary. So this is pretty cool, and it would tell me the highest rank or the most recent. Of course, everything's the same. We've just been playing 2v2. We're in silver right now, working our way up. Hopefully we'll get gold in the next couple days here. Anyway, another cool thing, this is really awesome, I think, is you can go into statistics, and you can go ahead and look at your race report. So it shows you how many games you've played, how many wins you have, how many losses you have, and the percentage, as well as ties. But I don't think I've ever tied in a StarCraft 2 game. Not exactly sure how that works. Of course, I don't have any games played for Terran or Zerg. I'm obviously a Protoss player, as you can see. And the next thing that's really cool is the map report. So the map report's really cool. You can see your win percentages on all these maps. So you can see these 4 maps are doing pretty good. Molten Crater, that's not really accurate. You can see it's 1 and 1. So or 1 and 0, so we have to play that map more to figure out if it's a good map for us. But this map, Desolate Stronghold, I actually told my friend we should take that off our map pool. We should veto that map because we played 4 games on it and we lost all 4. So we've gone ahead and vetoed that map, and we're going to stick to the other maps that we've been playing. So that's really good to help you figure out which maps are best for you. I think that's a really good feature, and more statistics are really good for that. So speaking of statistics and that sort of thing, we're going to go ahead and look at some of the score screens because they've changed that up quite a bit. So I'll go into my match history. Those are some custom games. Here we go. We got one here. So you can see actions per minute. You can see my actions per minute. It is totally garbage, but that's okay. You don't always need the best actions per minute to win. So this is the new kind of performance tab. You can see the average unspent resources, which mine was pretty low. That's pretty good. Supply efficiency and combat efficiency. Sometimes I notice not all these work. As you can see, 0 APM for my friend here. I'm pretty sure he's got higher than 0 APM there, which is obviously actions per minute. Alright, then here we got the score summary as well. As you can see, that's pretty much the same as the one in Wings of Liberty. Same with the units tab. We can go ahead and take a look at that. Same with the build orders. You guys can now see what build orders we went for. The graphs as well. You can see that this is where they added some new stuff within the graphs. So you can say we can go look at upgrade spending. We can see that you can continuously we were getting upgrades, which probably gave us advantage over our opponents who kind of were only getting a few upgrades here and there. Then we can go ahead and look at the resource collection rate, kind of figure out how many resources per minute I guess you were getting. So that's pretty cool. You can take a look at your resource collection rate, and then you can take a look at your workers active as well to kind of figure out why your resource collection rate went down. So right here I might have either been oversaturated, or possibly I just had some idle workers, or maybe probably oversaturation because this is workers active. But anyway, you can see that right here. That's pretty cool. They added some new graphs with some new statistics you can look at. One other thing I thought I'd mention as well, because this is actually a pretty big thing, if you go into matchmaking now, normally the only kind of matchmaking you do other than custom games was ranked play, but now they've added an unranked league, so if you want to kind of test out some new build orders, test out some things, you can go ahead and do that. Right now in the beta they only have 1v1s and 2v2s, but of course that'll be for 3v3s and 4v4s as well. And one last thing that they said that they are adding is training. Play against the AI to learn the basics of StarCraft 2 multiplayer. So it's going to help out those players who've only really played through the campaign and they're looking to get into the multiplayer, and this will help them train to get up into the multiplayer, so when they first enter multiplayer they don't get totally annihilated. And it's a pretty cool feature. I think it'll help out a lot of the new players. But yeah, that's basically it for the StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm, kind of all the features that are in the menus. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and get into the units. One thing I want to mention before we get into that is that they've added new death animations to the units. They've added new physics, so it's really awesome. Looks really better. It's a lot more fun to watch, and it's a lot more fun to play because of that. Of course, the units could be changed around. They could add units, take away abilities, change the way the units work. But I'm going to give you guys kind of an overview of what's going on right now. Take a look at some of the new units and some of the units that have been improved and altered. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that right now. Alright, here we are in the unit tester here, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at all the new units first, and then we'll kind of go into the improved units and that sort of thing. So the first thing we're going to look at is the Oracle, so we'll get into that right now. Alright, so here's the first new Protoss unit we're going to look at. It is a Stargate unit. It is pretty awesome and has a few abilities here. The first ability, I don't see it used that much, but it's Revelation, and you can go ahead and activate that, and it grants vision to the enemies within that area and around these units, so that's pretty cool. Haven't seen it used too much. The next one that does get used a little bit more is a Time Warp, so you can go ahead and put Time Warp down, and you can see if I move these workers through it, man, does it slow them down quite a bit. So can you be used as indirect economy damage to slow workers down as they're mining, or be used in big battles to kind of slow units down where you want them to. And the third ability that it has, which is pretty much the best ability. It is a great harassment tool, which is Activate Pulsar Beam. So it costs 25 energy to activate, and then once it's activated, it drains 1.4 energy per second. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. Watch how quickly these units get killed. So if left unchecked, man, these oracles can do some serious damage to your economy, and it's a really great unit in that way, and I think that's why I like it. Anyway, that's it for the Oracle, probably one of my favorite units. Thought you guys might like that. Alright, so here's the next new Protoss unit I'm going to talk about here. So this is the Tempest. It is another Stargate unit, but it does require the fleet beacon to make. It is a really good unit versus Zerg in the late game if they're going for Broodlords and Corruptors, so that's pretty good. We'll go ahead and you can see the range here is pretty ridiculous. I believe it's 15 range, so we'll go ahead and take a look at this. See how these guys face off against some Corruptors and Broodlords. Obviously they're going to do pretty well, because the Broodlords can attack air as well. But they are some pretty good units. I really like them. Really fixes the late game for Protoss versus Zerg. Because before, really all they could do was hope for one good Vortex, and that could be pretty hard to get sometimes. But now with these, they can siege up a little bit and actually take down some Broodlords a little bit easier than they were before. Alright, so the last new unit I want to talk about here is indeed the Mothership Core, and it can be upgraded to the Mothership, and it is also trained at the Nexus like the Mothership Core was before, but now you just upgrade it into the Mothership Core. So it's got a few abilities here, one of which is Envision, which allows it to become a detector for a short period of time, which is 30 seconds. Mass Recall, which recalls it back to a Nexus. So if I was going over here and I was like, oh my god, there's something there and I can't handle it, I can recall, takes a few seconds, and then I'm back at my Nexus. It can also be used as a harassment tool against probes, so it does a decent amount of damage in the early game, or other workers of course, not just probes, but yeah, it can be a little bit of a harassment tool or a defensive tool. So say if these DTs were coming in and they're going to go start attacking my pylon trying to get through to the Nexus, well, we can set this guy up to Envision so we can see them, and then we can go ahead and photon overcharge one of these Nexuses, and now these DTs are going to try to get it out of the way, but you can see the range on this is just insane. It's attacking like all the way from over here. You can see this is where the range line is, right in here. But yeah, Mothership Core, pretty useful, good for offense, good for defense. Kind of hard to get used to them, but once you get used to them, very good unit. Definitely a lot of fun, so yeah, check out the Mothership Core. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the Zerg new units now. So basically we have the Viper here. It is a new Hive Tech unit. It has 3 abilities. One is Consume, which allows it to get energy from buildings. Very helpful. Get your energy up right away. The next one is Abduct, which pulls the target unit to the location of the Viper. Very helpful against Colossus and that sort of thing. And then we have Blinding Cloud, that reduces the attack range of ground units under it to the melee range. So we'll take a look at that as well. So we'll go ahead and get these guys to attack. We'll select the Zerg army so we can start abducting stuff right away. We'll start abducting these Colossus then. You can see we pull them right forth to the beginning of the army, and then we can go ahead and start blinding cloud some of these stalkers, which actually makes their AI move forward. So very helpful against Protoss, against Marines and that sort of thing. Very good unit, very helpful. Looks like the Protoss army is still going to win here because it just had a pretty big death ball, but still a very good unit to use, and it can be used in a lot of different ways. Alright, so the next new Zerg unit, and actually the last new Zerg unit, is the Swarm Host. Zerg only actually got 2 new units, but this is actually a very cool unit, I think. So basically, once you burrow it, it is going to start spawning swarm locusts right away. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that, see how they face against these blink stalkers. So these stalkers are going to go in, they're going to try to take out some of these swarm hosts by focus firing them. But as you can see, man, these locusts, they do a ton of damage. Even if these stalkers are trying to get around, trying to focus down some of these swarm hosts, it is kind of very hard. So as you can see, those locusts were able to clean up these stalkers pretty easily, and that's the ability of the locusts. Can kind of siege up with your Zerg army, and these locusts do a ton of damage. You might get some free kills from them. Overall, pretty good unit. I think they're pretty awesome. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the Terran new units. This is the Widow Mine. It's very awesome. Helps Terran siege up even more if they need to. So we'll go ahead and burrow some of these guys. Once they burrow, they do a ton of splash damage, and actually are a very good unit. As you can see, they're burrowing super quickly right now. If I take their upgrade off, which is just an upgrade, they normally take 3 seconds to burrow. So as you can see, a little bit of different there. But you can have these placed around the map, kind of surprise some of your enemies, and they do a ton of splash damage. So say these mutas are all grouped up and they're going to go do some harassment. Well, not so fast, mutas. Oh my god, look at the new death animations. That was awesome. Of course, that's not likely to happen, but it's pretty dramatic, pretty awesome. As you can see, the Widow Mines are pretty sweet, and after they're activated, they take 40 seconds before they can shoot again. So you could move them out, get them out of there, and get them off to the next location. Pretty awesome unit, another great unit for Terran, and I think they're pretty sweet. Alright, so the next new Terran unit that we're going to take a look at is the Hellbat. As you can see, we can turn these Hellions into Hellbat mode. So once you get your factory, you can go ahead and get some of these Hellbats. One thing I forgot to mention is that the Widow Mines do come from the factory as well, same time as you can get the Hellions. One cool thing is once you convert them into Hellbat mode, they do count as a bio unit, so these Medevacs will go ahead and heal them up. So we'll go ahead and send these guys into attack, and you can see they do a ton of splash damage, so you can add these guys into your bio force to help your bio have a lot more splash damage, which was kind of a problem Terran had. They didn't have enough splash damage when they went for bio, so it kind of was hard for them in the late game. As you can see, these Hellbats do a ton of damage, and they can easily get healed up by these Medevacs, and they're all good to go. Pretty sweet unit. You can go ahead, change them back into Hellion form, and get out of there. Alright, so that was pretty much it for all the new units. A lot of cool stuff in there. Some of them might get changed around, like I said, but we're going to go ahead and look at some of the units that have been improved, some abilities added, and that sort of thing. So we'll go ahead and start with Protoss, and then we'll move to Zerg and Terran as well. So that's what we're going to do right now. We'll go ahead and take a look at it. I think the first thing we'll get into is the Sentry. Alright, so here we are. We're going to take a quick look at the Sentries. The Sentry has a new ability which allows it to hallucinate any unit. Most commonly I see this used to hallucinate phoenixes, which can be used to scout around the map, check for expansions, see that these workers are mining. Actually, they're just on patrol, but we're going to pretend they're mining. They go, oh my god, there's an expansion over there. We got to go deal with that. Of course, these hallucinated phoenixes do have less life. They do move around the map pretty quickly, and that's why I think a lot of people are using the Phoenix as a good scouting tool. Really sweet that you can get that from sentries, and you don't have to rely on observers and probes to scout anymore. Pretty sweet. I think that's really helpful to the Protoss army. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the mothership real quick. Now its recall has been changed, so now when you mass recall, it teleports it back to the Nexus instead of the mothership itself. So that's kind of better. I think that's a lot more useful to be using the mothership for. Of course, the Mothership Core can do that as well. So we're going to go ahead and test out the new Vortex. Now Vortex, you usually want to get it into a middle of all these Broodlords and then send your Archons in to do some splash damage. Now Vortex just kills one unit, As you can see, it took out that Zergling, and it's just like this mini vortex that just kills one unit and basically does nothing else. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually end up taking the mothership out of the game. I guess it can still be used as cloak to cloak your units, but I mean that can be countered pretty easily. So the mothership core, it's been, or the mothership, not the mothership core, has been changed around quite a bit. So yeah, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Void Ray real quickly, and the change to the Void Ray is now no longer automatically just kind of charges up. Now basically you activate the charge, it lasts for 20 seconds, and then has a cooldown of 60 seconds, so there's only 40 seconds where you basically can't really use that. So we're going to go ahead and send these guys to attack, and then we'll go ahead and activate the charge. As you can see, they're all charged up now, and they do a ton of damage. These Stalkers don't have a chance. Pretty cool, making the Void Ray a lot more viable and a really good unit. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Phoenix here. The cool thing about the Phoenix is that its speed has been increased. I believe its speed has been increased. I might be wrong about that, but it has an upgrade, so its range has been increased. So if we send these guys to attack here, you can see that these guys could kite around these mutas all day if I had enough room here. So yeah, you can see that they can just kite around these mutas. Pretty awesome, making the Phoenix a lot more viable, especially against mutas. So you can see how easily they were able to clean up these guys. Of course, there were a lot of these Phoenixes, but yeah, Phoenix is pretty awesome now as well. Alright, so the last change to kind of some of the Protoss units that I want to go over is the carrier, because I've seen the carriers be used a lot more. Now you can actually micro your carriers around a bit, because when you send your interceptors in, you can start moving away and they still attack for a while before they shoot back to your carriers. So that's pretty helpful, makes the carriers a lot more viable, and a unit that I've been seeing used quite a bit more. Alright, so we're going to get into some Zerg changes here. So now the Hydra has become a lot more viable because now once you get Lair, you can go ahead and research Hydra Speed, which was a upgrade that was actually in Brood War, so they've brought that back, and you can see now your Hydras can actually keep up with your Speed Roaches quite a bit, making them a lot more viable. So that's pretty awesome if you ask me. Hydra is a lot better now. Of course, they had a range upgrade here too, so you can see them taking down some of these Terran units. I think they're pretty awesome now. I've been seeing them used quite a bit, and a combination I've seen used quite a bit is Hydra Roach Viper. So that get used a lot, or actually quite a lot against Protoss. Pretty sweet combination right there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Mutalisk real quick here. One thing that got changed from the Mutalisk is it now has 4 movement speed, so they move around quite a bit faster, as you can see. And then if I go ahead and I attack these Marines and take some damage, we'll get... Oh, that guy didn't get out of there. We'll micro this guy out of here. And now that once he gets out of combat here, he starts regenerating health a lot quicker. As you can see, they have Mutalisk regeneration now, which allows Mutalisk to regen health a lot quicker. So that's pretty awesome. Makes Mutalisk a lot more viable, and I think we'll be seeing a lot more of them. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Ultra. Now, Ultra was another unit we didn't see very much of, but now we're going to be seeing Ultras a lot because now they're pretty good against any ground unit. As you can see, I got a Bioforce over here, and now instead of doing extra damage against armored units or massive units, I can't remember which one it was, but now they just do the same amount of damage against all units. So as you can see, if you don't get away from these Ultralisks, man, they're just going to clean up your Bioforce without a problem. You can see bodies flying everywhere. That's some of the new physics they've added. As you can see, some of the Ultras getting cleaned up, but not as quite as quickly as that Bioforce got cleaned up. And man, Ultralisks are really sweet now. They used to have an ability that was Burrow Charge, but they took that out and replaced them to just buff them up overall against all units. That might get changed because right now it seems a little bit overpowered, or maybe they're just still trying to find their spot in the game and see how the metagame evolves and how people are going to counter them. But right now, the Ultralisks, man, they are pretty awesome. We're going to be seeing a lot of them. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the last unit of Zerg I want to talk about here. It's the Infestor. So the Infestor has been changed around a bit. It's actually been nerfed a little bit, but it's a very important change since Infestors were being used quite a bit. The Swarm, or the Swarm Egg HP was reduced down to 70 HP now. So that's a little bit of a change here. And now these infested Terrans, they no longer get upgrades. As you can see on my roaches, I got 3-3. They get 0-0, so they don't get any upgrades anymore. And now fungal is actually a projectile, so you can go ahead and whoop, I actually neuroparasited them. We'll go ahead and fungal them. As you can see, they're projectiles now, so that's pretty cool. It actually makes it so you can dodge them if you are quick enough, but it's still pretty quick. And we're still going to see a lot of infestors in the game, but I just don't think we'll see them quite as often. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and look at some of the Terran unit changes here. So the Raven has been changed up a bit, at least its Seeker Missile has. So Seeker Missile used to do a lot of splash damage, now it does no splash damage, it just does a massive amount of damage versus units. So we'll go ahead and queue up some of these Seeker Missiles. They take about 3 seconds to cast and then they go out instead of going out right away. So they are dodgeable if you get out of there quick enough, but as you can see they do about half the damage of these battle cruisers of their HP, and now they just clean these things out super quickly. As you can see, man, those battle cruisers just explode. Some more death animations there. But yeah, the Ravens have been changed up in the way they're going to work, and so we're going to be seeing them play a different role for sure in Heart of the Swarm. Alright, so we're going to take a look at the Reaper real quick, and the thing that's been changed about the Reapers now, and they now move a lot quicker. They actually have their upgrade on right now. They have an upgrade to move quicker, but overall they still move quicker than they did in Wings of Liberty, so they're a lot more viable now. They're still not sustainable, but they're still pretty good, especially in TVT, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at it. And one other thing is, once these guys get out of combat, they do regenerate their health, so that is pretty awesome. We'll wait for this guy and wait for him to get out of combat and start regenerating. As you can see, they regenerate quite quickly, and they have a little green aura around them. So we'll be seeing Reapers a little bit more. Watch out for that Reaper harassment if you're a Protoss or Zerg or even another Terran. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Medevac as well. We're almost done, guys. We have one more unit after this, so bear with me. The main change about the Medevac is they do heal for more life per second. And I guess the other main change is they have emergency thrusters, which allows them to move around super quick for about 10 seconds. And then once that's up, they have about 11 seconds or so before they can use it again. So that's pretty awesome. Also, just because they heal so much more, makes bio even more viable in the late game, especially with the addition of Hellbats. I think we'll be seeing a lot more bio as well. Alright, so the last unit I wanted to take a look at is the Thor. So they changed Thor so they have a transformation mode. We'll go ahead and transfer them. And that's high impact payload. So now their air, instead of doing splash damage, they just do heavy damage. So they'll be a lot more effective against units like battle cruisers and air units that like Tempest and that sort of thing. So as you can see, they're not doing splash anymore, and they're just doing straight up damage to these guys, doing a lot of damage. You can focus fire a couple of these guys and see how much. Of course, battle cruisers are still very good as well, so they're going to clean out these Thors, but definitely makes Thors a lot more viable against some of the air forces, and allows Thors to change it up quite a bit. So that's all I kind of wanted to talk about the new units. I know it's been a long video, and thanks for sticking with me if you guys are still here. So like I said, a lot of these units might be changed around, but for now this is what it's like. This is the latest update of the patch as of right now, which is January 3rd. So I just thought I'd let you guys know that. Maybe if you're looking into buying Heart of the Swarm, you might have a more informed decision now if you want to. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.